Good morning. Good morning. I'm Sensei Mish. It is morning tea with me. It is Friday, August 19th. I haven't been on here for like a week. It's crazy. Uh, you would never guess by the clouds behind me. It's supposed to be like 85 today. Um, so, no Rob today. Rob might tune in, but no Rob today for this because this is actually, and I'll probably be repeating this as people chime in, but this is going to be my last podcast for the next 21 days. So, and I'll get to that in a little bit. So my cup of tea here. Um, so for those of you who may or may not know, I own a martial arts school in Vancouver, Washington. Um, I I've been trying to get it to grow. Haven't really had a lot of success, and I one of the reasons that I had not been online for the last week essentially is because I was down in San Francisco at Brandon Beliso's um, uh, at his It's Time Live Believe. So he always does an It's Time Live. This one was Believe. The last one I went to was Change, and the last one I went to, it was I guess you could call it a spiritual experience for me. It gave me so much confidence, and it gave me so much, and it really changed. Like, I was excited about being a school owner and moving my business forward, and I just had all this momentum. And I, like a lot of things I do, I started narrowing my focus and on, like, I had to get the build out done, but I wasn't working on like the other stuff I needed to do. Um, and I found that my 40-hour gig was getting in the way. Um, my 40-hour gig did get in the way. I mean, mentally, I couldn't do both. Um, uh, and so there were lots of challenges there. Anybody who's been following me at all knows that, how, me going on an LOA and ending up actually eventually quitting to focus on the school. But all of that mental turmoil that I went through, I was not mentally in a good place to do what I needed to do, and I had lost my focus. And so I was going to go, regardless of where I was still going to go to It's Time Live because it is a fantastic, it's a fantastic, um, uh, it's just, I don't know how to say it. It's a great learning experience for anybody who's running a martial arts business, martial arts school, or even just regular business itself. Like, there's so many tools that Brandon gives you. And for me, I've been following and training with Brandon for a long time, but one of the things that I had not been doing is I had not been reaching out and asking, like, we all know about my huge $4,800 mistake of sending out um, uh, uh, postcards. So he and I actually kind of had a Mish meets reality talk. And yes, I did cry because um, because that can be emotional. Like, this is my life. Like, I don't want, I don't want to fail at owning a martial arts school. I have to come to terms that there will be failures, and I think I've done that, but it was just one of those doses of reality that I really, really needed. So anyway, and he's like, so why didn't you ask? Like, why didn't you ask about the postcards? And I was like, well, I wasn't paying you. Like I've taken, like we weren't actively, I wasn't in Wisdom. He's doing this, wisdom program. He wasn't actively my mentor. And I was just like, I thought that, and he's like, well, it doesn't hurt to be like, hey, what do you think about this? And I was like, and I said, because it's just a text. Sir, what do you think about this? And he says, I would have just said, no. And then you would have responded, why? And then and then he'd be like, because people throw that shit away. Like very, like it wouldn't have gone in depth. And so that was one of my things that I got out of this is I needed somebody to call me out on my shit. And I actually have. So there's one person that's actively watching right now. So I don't know who you are, but please say hi. So anyway, so it was kind of that dose of reality that I kind of needed and that kick in the butt. And I learned some great tools that I had. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, I want to create a schedule for myself. But then, well, I don't know how. Like I could wake up at 6 a.m, but then how do I do that? So because I don't have that mindset yet. Good morning, Kenny. How are you, sir? So I don't have that mindset. Wasn't like, I thought I had the mindset, but I didn't have the mindset. So, through part of this, I now actually have a schedule. And oh my gosh, I have in the last 2 days, because I was actually going to do a podcast yesterday, but I didn't. I actually have a schedule. I'm going to slowly modify it because waking up at 6, that reminds me too much of waking up to going to Providence. So I need a little bit more sleep because I am also kind of that night owl person, but this outline that I have of what I should be doing every morning before whatever I do for the day. I've gotten more done like in the last 2 days than I've gotten done in, I don't know, the last couple weeks. So, and then, so it's been pretty good. In fact, it's so good that I went to a PTO meeting last night, and I've got a kindergarten meet and greet set up for September 2nd for Burton. So it's like amazing. Good morning, sir. How are you? So yeah, so it's just like, it's been refocusing. And one of the really cool things is Lisa went with me and did the entire 4-day experience. And so my goal for her, I mean, I know she probably had her own goals, but one thing that I wanted to see come out of this was, I mean, we've always been on the same page, like, but we weren't on the same page. It was more like we were reading the same book, but we weren't like we weren't actually on the same page. So it was so now she gets a little bit more of what I'm of where I'm at and where I, what my vision is. Good morning, Emmett. And and so that was great. It was, and I'm glad that she was able to be there for all 4 days. So now on day 3, my ass got hurt. And it's not like we were sparring or anything like that. I hurt myself sliding down a slide. So part of this experience on day 3, we go for a hike. Good morning, Uriel. How are you, sir? So we go on this hike, and I knew what to expect. And that I went to Time Live. Yeah. And the next one is in April. So I'll be going to that one. Anybody who can't make it live, there's always a virtual option. And so, which is a lot less expensive. Let's see. What does Emmett have to say? Feeling positive today. Life's all in perspective. Ask the lobsters in the Titanic ship's kitchen. Yeah. That's pretty funny. So anyway, so it was, so my ass got hurt. So we're sliding down this slide, and last year, and this is not like your standard little slide. Like this is like this huge slide. Let's see if I have a picture. But I, let's see. So to give you a perspective, that's me. Okay. And that's the slide. Like those are all adult humans. So, we're all 5'8", 6 foot. So it's a huge ass slide. Well, my ass goes up for a second slide. Now I went down. I did this last year, slid, had lots and lots of fun. Well, the one on the left, well, let's see so the one on this side, that's the one I originally went down on. And that's the one I went down on twice last time I went down. So I was like, oh, I haven't gone on the other one. So I go down on the other one. And let me fast forward here. So that's me. And then, okay, let me back that up. So right about here, my ass bottoms out. My fat ass bottoms out, and my entire lower back goes and then expands again. This did not happen on the first one. So some expletives came out of my mouth, and let's just say that most of once we got actually back to civilization, most of the rest of Monday evening and most of Tuesday, I had a TENS unit on because my back was in so much pain. While I'm lying on the ground going, oh my God, like my business, my business is going downhill because I can't teach, because I don't have instructors to take over for me while I'm injured. I'm like, holy cow. I'm moving my toes and moving my ankles to make sure that they still work. Yeah. So there's that. Now I've gotten better. I'm no longer wearing a TENS unit, but the TENS unit is more for the muscles. This is not a muscle thing. This is like, I bruised my spine. Now that's layman's. I have not seen a doctor yet, but I am getting better every morning, every day. I canceled classes yesterday so I could, just work on some stuff and heal. But for the most part, I was like relaxing. I did take some ibuprofen yesterday, and I did take some ibuprofen this morning, but it's not like I'm living on the pills, which is good. I just, just to get that, I try and give a good stretch, and yeah, it is what it is. Good morning, Rob. So, anyway, so this is, um, so I'm trying to sit upright right now. And I did take some ibuprofen, so the pain, I can actually move. And even when, and I don't think it's a slip disc because I actually have really good mobility. It just is a little bit painful. So there's a small bruise. At least I can't see it, but my wife can see that there's a little bruise on my lower back. So now, if it does not heal, if it does not heal here soon, like if I don't feel myself getting better and better and better, yes, I will go see a doctor. But right now, I don't think that's necessary. Because this morning I actually could get out of bed with very little issue, like as opposed to yesterday morning when I got out of bed, like I had to go. So, yeah, so unfortunately, that's the one thing I haven't done is ice it. But yeah, I should probably be doing that. So get some Crantom from Carl. I don't even know what that is, but I'll give Carl a call. So anyway, all right. So slides in Ireland are everywhere outdoors. We generally sit on a skateboard and go. The most hilly country ever. The only place is uphill to where you're going, and uphill back. So that's from Emmett. Yeah. So I was joking, like in in April when I go again. In April when I go again, I will probably not go down the slide, or I will go down the other slide. So, all right. As in icing, I normally don't, but this post-surgery recovery has been amazing. Well, that's good. That's good. Oh, it's the powder that he had. Okay. Yeah. Well, because it's California, and because one of my friends who goes is from Colorado, he's like, I got some edibles for you. Like they're legal. No, I'm I'm good. So, but anyway, so I had a really good experience. The like come to reality talk was helpful from Brannon. I've made tons of headway, and one of my decisions for right now, because I need to, I'm not rebranding, I'm giving a facelift to the school. So I've been trying to market, and this is part of the problem, is that I've been trying to market to kids and families. But when you look at my social media, and when you look at the school, or when you look at the website, you look at the social media, you look at the school, there's pictures of old men with knives, and families don't want that. And yes, that is part of what I do, part of my martial arts, but it is not, it's I think it's pushing away some of the market. So, I need to spend more time focusing on focusing on the school, being creative. And really the website is going to take me a lot of time because yeah, it's just like if you like, it's funny because even Brandon brought up my site on his phone and he goes, okay, so you have a plus that you are, you come up on the first, on the first page of results for on Google. But when you actually go to my site on a mobile device, even though it's mobile friendly, it does not look mobile friendly. Like when you look at it on a website, you've got text and a picture right next to it, and then you've got some links, and then you've got another couple pictures, or then you've got all the programs you can click on, but there's nothing like it's not it. But when it comes up on the phone, it's just text and then a picture, and then more text and a picture, and so it's just not set up friendly. So I need to work on that. And so what I decided, that I mentioned earlier on when I think nobody was watching, is that this will be my last Tea Talk for 21 days. So there are some habits I need to create, like this schedule of waking up and working on systems and checking in, responding to emails, and my creative time, and creating this routine that I need to do every single day, and not getting off track on that. I need to not do this. And because even though this is fun, I've got 4 people watching right now. It's fun to interact on Fridays. Rob and I, we talk about cool sci-fi shit. It's something that I need to do to kind of reset myself and put myself in that good routine. So in fact, I was going to do this podcast yesterday and just be like, hey, this is my last one. But I just kind of got into a zone yesterday. And so it was one of those where it's like, actually yesterday I did kind of get into a zone, but it was also turned into kind of a clusterfuck. But aside the point. So today I was like, you know what? I'll do it today because, do you know what today is? Can anybody out there tell me what's important about today? What's today's significance? I'll give you a little bit of time to put it in the chat. Damn, now I can't get my mixed fish for 21 days. What happens when I start dealing with the shakes and itches? Okay, so I'm not saying that I'm going to go completely offline. I'm just not going to have my podcast. So, I'm still going to be watching Star Trek, and I'm still going to be watching other shit. I'm still going to be doing stuff. So, Rob, you and I can still text. I'm not completely going offline. I just need the time that this is an hour of my time that I right now need to focus on something else, or focus on my business, because I had been working on my business and in my business, but I'd been working hard, but I had not been working smart. So this is I'm trying to create a habit of working smart. But can anybody tell me what is significant about today? You got any of that mish for the low? What? You got any of that mish for the low? Kenny, I don't know. I'm sorry. Am I taking that out of context? Anyway, okay. So I'll tell you what today is. Today is Gene Roddenberry's birthday. He would have been 101 today if he was still alive. So he's trying to buy the drug that you are. Oh, okay. See, like that's how I'm sorry. Now I get it. Okay, Kenny. Anyway, so it's Gene Roddenberry's 101st birthday today. It is also Jonathan Frakes' birthday. Rob, Kenny says Rob knows what's up. And if I'm not mistaken, it is let's see. Jonathan Frakes is 70 today. So we have Gene Roddenberry 101 and Jonathan Frakes is 70. So, which I always kind of thought is cool because, you know, Jonathan Frakes is, he's talked about how he and Gene used to basically talk about Gene's vision of the future and how he just was so into it. And to find out that they are born on the same day, 29 years apart, I think is very, very cool. So anyway, happy birthday, Gene. Happy birthday, Jonathan. Now, 21 days from now will be, what will it be? I think it's September 2nd. Let me bring up my calendar. Let's see. Nope. That's September 9th. So September 9th I will be back online Friday with an update of oh yeah. Please give Frakes a Trek show so he can build it from the ground up. Yes, okay, so that is what we need. That would be a perfect birthday present for him. Yeah, just like that would be a great birthday present for him and the fans. So I will be back September 9th, and I'll kind of give you an update on where I'm at and what, and then I'd like to start that back up, you know, because I actually I really enjoy this, and it was kind of hard for me to make the decision to not do this. But I don't have the habits I need to have the school be successful. So we're going to wait 21 days. So it'll be September 9th, 3 weeks from now. But then we can talk about all really cool stuff because, well, let's just get into the nerd shows. So, September 9th, Cobra Kai. Okay. I don't know if I mean, it'll be the morning of September 9th. So we'll probably talk about that later on. But on the 25th, we got Lower Decks season 3 starting. September 2nd, Lord of the Rings, Cobra Kai. And then, of course, we've talked about September. September is going to be an amazing month for Star Wars fans and Survivor fans. So check this out. I met this guy. His name is Lee. Cannot remember his last name, but he came over from the UK to It's Time Live Believe, and he's a geek, like he's a nerd. He wore some amazing geeky t-shirts every day. But it was great to get to know him. He actually, before COVID, he owned 3 schools. Now he just has it down to 1 because he just had to, you know, he shrank it down because COVID happened. A lot of people quit. So he kind of broke it down. Okay. So, 3 schools. Now he just has it down to 1 because he just had to, you know, he shrank it down because COVID happened. A lot of people quit. So he kind of broke it down. 3 schools. Now he just has it down to 1 because he kind of broke it down. 3 schools. Now he just has it down to 1 because he just had to, you know, he shrank it down because COVID happened. A lot of people quit. So he kind of broke it down. 3 schools. Now he just has it down to 1 because he just had to, you know, he shrank it down because COVID happened. A lot of people quit. So he kind of broke it down. 3 schools. Now he just has it down to 1 because he just had to, you know, he shrank it down because COVID happened. A lot of people quit. So he kind of broke it down. 3 schools. Now he just has it down to 1 because he just had to, you know, he shrank it down because COVID happened. A lot of people quit. So he kind of broke it down. 3 schools. Now he just has it down to 1 because he just had to, you know, he shrank it down because COVID happened. A lot of people quit. So he kind That's Lee. Oh, that's Lee. Anyway, so he and I were talking Star Wars, and like just a block away from his house, they were filming Andor. Actually, he actually said that they were filming Bad Batch, and I'm like, we're filming Bad Batch. Bad Batch is going to become like live action. Like, is this something that like we don't know? So, but it was Andor that they were filming, like a block away from his house. He goes, it was so cool to watch. So anyway, so that's really cool. Now, upcoming events for me, on the 20th, we've got a self-defense class. We're still going to have that. On the 25th, we have a table at Burton Elementary. So I actually was at a PTO meeting last night, promoting my kindergarten meet and greet, as well as that's going to be on the 2nd, and then talking about the table because the PTO wanted to give away food, and I was like, well, I'm going to be handing out Otter Pops, and so that was they're kind of excited for that. So that was just something they don't have to spend. And then on the 29th, there's a couple different schools that are going to have tables, or they're going to have open houses that I'm going to try and get into. I just don't know if, where that's going to be. So Monday, the 29th, I will be at a school. I just don't know which one. So that's one thing I'm going to work on today. Kindergarten meet and greet for Burton. We're going to have it at our school on the 2nd. So I made a really bad flyer, but the school just ate it up. They were like, that's so amazing. Then in September, I'm going to be at Jim Corn's in Washington. I'm still going to go to that. I have plane tickets. I'm going to go. There's going to be a small circle jiu-jitsu event in New Jersey that same weekend. Still do not know if I will be able to make it to the HKI camp, but that's happening October 7th and 8th. And then still tentative date for October 28th. I need to talk to Bobby about this more, but we're going to have that zombie self-defense at the school. One of the things I was thinking about, though, is especially we could have a kids version and an adult version. So we can actually have 2 seminars. So one would be kid related and one would be adult related. So we'll see how that goes. And then November 5th, Dean Anderson's thingy. So, good morning, Tom. How are you, sir? If you're still there. So anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at. Like, yeah, I was taking my business seriously and I was working hard on it, but I was not working smart on it. And I have not created those habits that I need to create. So hard decision, but it is what it is. I mean, we got to make sacrifices to do stuff. There's one of the things that Lisa and I did, we got and so when it comes to the school and some of our reorganization, my youth curriculum is really for 7, 8 and up. It's really kind of what it's for. And so I kind of put it on 8, and then I'd have a 6 and 7-year-old stuff. And I was like, okay, and I kind of worked on it, but I kind of didn't. Like I was trying, but it was really kind of hard to be like, well, what's that going to look like? But there's a lot of people calling for, like, people ask me, do I have mommy and me classes, or do I have classes for little kids? And, Carl is amazing like that, but I didn't have a curriculum for it. So, so Lisa and I actually bought the Excellent Kids curriculum, and got a little bit of training on it, got some backup support for it. And so I don't know when that will be starting, but that will be starting in the next few weeks. So we'll actually be starting with kids at 3.5. And we're actually going to call it Young Artisans. So stick with that. So we'll do Young Artisans, and it'll be like 3.5 to 6. And then the youth classes will then be from 7 until 12. And then we'll have our teen classes from 13 to 17, and the adult classes. So, 18 and up. What that schedule is exactly going to look like, I don't know, but it's not going to be any different than where we are now. I mean, of course, there are going to be changes. I just don't know, exactly what it's going to look like. So my younglings class is actually going to be, we're going to call it Young Artisans, powered by Excellent Kids, which is a brand that's, and Kids Live Life Skills, which I have the Kids Live Life Skills. I'm just not using them to the magnitude that I could. So yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. Another change we're going to make is that when somebody comes in as a student, they get a uniform straight up, like gi top, pants, t-shirt, everything. Because before it was, we were almost using it kind of like as a graduation thing, where somebody comes in, they get the pants, belt, and t-shirt, and that's how they train. And then when they get their first actual belt, they get a jacket. Well, and I didn't, that's Lisa's idea. I didn't want to do that. But I kind of saw it as, well, that's kind of cool, because when they get their black belt, they get a red jacket. So that, that would be kind of cool. So, so we had, but Lisa watched this Excellent Kids class that Brandon was teaching, and there were all these little kids, all these, 4 or 5-year-olds with their little gis on and their little life skill badges, and Lisa just thought it was the most adorable thing she'd ever seen. So we made the change because she thought that was really cute. And well, where else do you put the life skills badges? So everybody gets a uniform walking the door, full gi, everything. So we've got that. And then, let's see. And then one thing, and I don't know how this really worked, because I never really went through a system that was like this. Like, when you have, okay, so like Modern Harness, you go through at least when I was told, not necessarily Dan Anderson's, but like, even Bram had explained this to me, that there were, there's all the color belt stuff, and then you just get a black belt. You're not a first degree or a second degree. You just get a black belt. You're a Lunkin. And there was a couple other systems that I've heard. They give like a provisional black belt. So it's not a first degree. It's just a black belt. And I was talking with Jason Smith, who is one of my new accountability buddies. In fact, he told my wife that I have 4 accountability buddies, which is kind of funny. So we, he had been doing his own thing. He did Taekwondo, but he has been studying professor stuff and ranking in that. And so when we talked about, Professor Beliso, he does just a black belt, and then you get your first degree. And so one of the things with starting a kid so young in the martial arts is one of my problems is I don't want to give a 10-year-old a black belt. I don't really want to give an 11-year-old a black belt. 12, you're kind of stretching it. But I was thinking, okay, well, so basically for me, I was like, okay, well, I don't mind. Okay. I don't mind doing like the way he explained it, it's like they're like the black belt, just like the black belt, not the degree, not the first degree, but just the regular black belt. Is that provisionary black belt? So essentially, when you're testing for that black belt, you're testing for all the color belt curriculum. Where like there were some where it's like, okay, well, the color belt, and then you just have your black belt test, and you're, kind of, you should know all of it, but then you have, this. So there, and then there's, so like there's just a regular black belt is all this other curriculum, is all the color belt curriculum, and then you've got specific curriculum from this provisionary black belt to actual black belt, first degree, for first degree. And so I got to thinking about how mine is set up, because I set up everything into a rotating curriculum. So it's generally about 4 years to get to black belt. And essentially I was looking at first degree being that's essentially you're testing for everything, you're testing for everything moving forward. And, and then, moving back. So basically for first degree, you're testing all the yellow, all the color belt stuff. And then I got to think about that. Is it why would that be first degree? And, and then I thought, well, my second degree black belt is essentially you take a kata, any kata you want, and then you use the skills that you learned during your apprenticeship, and then you put that into like how to break down the kata and all that kind of stuff, and then you get, that would be for second degree. But I think if I go back, I can actually extend the timeout, and then first degree, you're really proving, do you really want the skills that you learned? And then I'll just come up with stuff for second and third and all that kind of stuff. So Emmett says, I got my first black belt at 17. And to be honest, I was terrible and thought I was the best of the best. I don't even consider it a real black belt anymore. Yeah. I mean, when we talk about a black belt, like a black belt is the beginning. It's, first degree, or even if we want to separate a black belt from a first degree, it is, it's one of those where that's truly where the beginning starts learning, or that's where the learning actually begins. Yeah. You know where I'm at on that. So it's like, and truly when it comes down, like, with a black belt, you've got, you do have some maturity that needs to be there. You've got, skill that needs to be there, because there are some black belts that I look at. It's like, you're 10 and you're a first degree black belt. Like, you're kidding me, right? And it's just some wild kid. And I don't want to be a belt factory. That's not my purpose. I want my black belts to be good, skillful, mature black belts. And that's why I think I'm essentially adding another year onto their training. But honestly, if somebody comes in to me, say at the youngest, 3.5, and then goes through the young artisan program, and then goes through the time for the apprenticeship, the apprenticeship years, and then gets their black belt, and then eventually gets their first degree. They will have been training for like 8 years in the martial arts, and really, honestly, the whole 3 to 6, those are just basically coordination skills, not true self-defense skills. But it's one of those that, because I've always, like, for me, it's like, no, you should be what is it? You should be 16 or 18 before you get your black belt. But there's really there's no set law in that, all right. So Rob did post something about, I'm gonna post the stuff from Emmett. Yeah, but even my basics were really bad, which I didn't realize this until I was practicing other styles and seeing the difference. There was some great black belts in my first school too. Well, and for me, it's it would be, I wouldn't be like giving it out. Like, you still have to pass your test, like all the color belt stuff. Like, even though that's kind of set, you still need to have the skill. And I think that, in my view, belts should be given not on age/time training, but how well you know the material. Yes, I absolutely agree. And so I think, like, the way Brandon has talked about his stuff before is that he does have a set time frame for the color belt stuff. You learn, and honestly, he's really broken this stuff down. Like, you're spending 2 weeks on like one technique, like only one. So, and you're over and over and over again. Plus, then you're spending another few weeks reviewing that, and it all kind of builds on. So, like breaking down one stripe is like a down strike and a punch. Like, you could practice that over and over. You're going to be really good. And then the applications that go along with that and all that kind of stuff. But he's even said that, like, he had gotten to a point where he had all these people, that they were going through. He thought that they were good, but they were still failing their black belt test. And he saw them failing their black belt test as him being a failure, as he was failing them as an instructor. Like, he did not hold them accountable. He did not teach them right. There was those things. And because our goal is to produce good martial artists as instructors. And so, now he has a 4-year program, program for his youth. And then he has what he calls black belt prep. So I don't know if it's, I'm not sure if that's just for regular black belt, and then you have curriculum for first degree black belt. I think that might be how it's set up. But, like, for me, I originally saw it as, well, the last, like, first Q, from first Q to whatever black is, you're going back over everything. And so that's why it's kind of like, for me, it's like, well, just for black belt, you should know that's essentially you saying, yes, I have not just completed as in a line, but I know all my stuff from the last 4 years of me doing stuff. And then from black to first degree, I have new stuff. So, that added on an additional year to his training. And, but he's still failing people. But his failure rate on him failing students for black belt has gone down significantly, because even him talking to his instructor, it's like, well, I still have good black belts, right? Yeah, I teach it differently, but I'm still getting a good result in the end. And his teacher's like, well, yeah. It's like, okay, well, then it doesn't matter how I teach it. All right. So Emmett says, coming up to a test, I give some of my students a simple technique and then give class time to practice it and then ask them to teach it for the test. I'm looking for ability to progress a technique. Yeah. All right, let's go back to what Rob said. Black belts are exactly that, a beginning. Unfortunately, films and belt factories have created this belief that it means that you are, as Emmett said, the best of the best. At 19, I thought the same thing. The more I trained, the older I got, the more I realized how I was wrong. And I think that would go coming up, say, talking to our responsibilities as instructors, is that I think it's our responsibility to create that culture of the students understanding that that you are at that skill level, like that just because you're a black belt, you are not best of the best, that this is now the beginning. You're essentially, you are now starting over. So, but it's proving that foundation, okay, the foundation that we've given them over however long, 4 or 5 years worth of training, that it is, that it is, what is it? That they have to prove that they do know what they're doing. So, and that they are good. And if they suck, they suck, So I don't know, just some of my thoughts on that. So some of those changes. So one of those changes that I am making is I'm adding in a new belt at the end. So it's just a black belt. It is not a first degree. So I'm adding in that provisional black belt. And then what I would require for second degree is actually going to be required for first degree. And to me, that makes a lot more sense, because, if you are, okay, yes, you have completed all the skills and you're satisfactory up to a point, that that's your black belt. And then now prove to me, like, use the skills that you have been taught and apply it. And that's your second degree, or that's what your first degree is for. So anyway, so just some of the things that I had worked on, so I had come up with. So, and then updating kind of the face of stuff. So adding, be adding some pages to the website. I'll be updating the front page of the website so it looks better on a phone. Updating some of the processes that I have for the school of how stuff works. So I have a lot ahead of me, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's just the process. So it's creating those good habits and continuing on with those good habits. So, all right. I'm almost done with my tea, but I think that's all I have. And besides, nobody's watching now, or at least the little eye in the sky is telling me that nobody's watching. So anyway, I appreciate all the support that you guys have given me. I am not going away. Morning Tea with me will be back on September 9th. So, so don't feel free to message me and check in and be like, hey, how are things going? I hope to have some really good news moving forward. But but yeah, so there you go. Anyway, love to you all. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the support. Live long and prosper. Make sure you watch your Star Trek and your Star Wars and all of those nerdy TV shows that we all just love to